I know of talking with Pete with All Inclusive, Soft Services just got done doing one up north, and they told them they wouldn't do anything to help them, which cost that school district about $12,000 to replace it. So we're in luck. So we'll take that $2,000. So that's right. All right. Throughout the last month, just so you know, we did do 135 work orders just to keep up with the district and trying to keep things maintained for the district and the buildings. And other than that, congratulations everybody. Thank you. Any questions?
Ray, I had a question.
Yes.
I used to give Jimmy a hard time about this, and it never got done.
Okay. See what I can do.
At the elementary school.
Yes.
And you may laugh at me, but the basketball hoops are physically mounted to the wall.
Uh-huh.
Why are those at regulation height when we've got elementary school kids that when they don't play at regulation height?
That's a very good question.
I'd just like you to look at it, see if that can
How about if I look in that and see what I can do?
Thank you.
I will do that. No problem.
And I can tell Jimmy that you got it done.
All right. Yeah. Don't tell me about this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next has to do with the MSBA conference. Eric and I attended the training down at Tantera on, I don't remember what the date was now. October 1st? The 1st, that's correct. We have officially completed our essential training, our 16 hours of training that was required. So we've learned quite a bit. We studied a little bit of finance and board policy and learned more about the Sunshine Law and student achievement and strategic planning, and so we have all kinds of things swirling. We left with our brains feeling a little bit like Swiss cheese, maybe, because it was an all-day event. I then stayed on for the rest of the couple of days and attended some conference workshops, some classes about, I learned a little bit more about the NE process. I've never been through it, so I wanted to learn about the process and be able to answer questions or just be able to evaluate it a little bit better. I also learned a little bit about legislative advocacy, so that was enlightening. I really enjoyed that. And a lot of communication type workshops that I attended, which I was excited about. The possibility of a school app. I think that was really, really interesting and offers us a lot. So I've already spoken a little bit to Mr. Isaacson about that, and we're looking at some of those things. Ms. Petrie, you went to several different workshops.
We were there for 4 days, and we did not go to the same ones. I have a tendency to go to the legal sessions because it's of interest to me. And Hillsboro was mentioned / discussed in several of the sessions, but I was refreshed. I did run across one person that had not a clue of our media attention. And thousands of people there, so that was kind of exciting. But the boards, school board members across the state, once they knew we were from Hillsboro, they kind of came up and thanked us for weathering the forefront of some of our issues or main issue. And now they were prepared, they were going to take advantage of what we had been through. So it's been challenging for us, but people across the state of Missouri were feeling our pain, if you want to put it that way. The district app, again, I'm on board. I think we definitely need to look into that. School districts are using district apps in place of robocalls, newsletters, school newspapers, and not that we need to do away with all those things, but they've even downplayed, put a lot less emphasis on their websites because parents, community people are using their cell phones, and you can tailor those to include even lunch accounts for kids and all kinds of things. So, you know, definitely something that we want to look into. Also, I was surprised at the number of schools that were actually monitoring social media and responding to negative comments and false allegations and taking proactive steps there, which was, you know, it's been frustrating over my course of 18 months here, seeing things go online, and I think, boy, that's false. You know, they don't have all the information. And many schools are, you know, being proactive, and that's false, and here's the reason why. And using social media to the advantage as well. In fact, I'm sorry, Nixa and Fort Osage are the two that really are kind of the forefront and have presented a lot. And one of the quotes that have been said, and Kevin, this is not against you, okay. But one of the quotes that the Nixa communications officer kept saying, if you don't say it, they can't quote it, but if you don't say anything, they'll make it up. So it's like, be, you know, proactive. Tell the good, the bad, and the ugly before the uglier gets uglier. Tell the good stuff to outweigh some of the negativism. Kind of one of the most heart-wrenching session I went to was given by a detective for the Sandy Hook Elementary School, and it doesn't make any difference how prepared a school or community is when or if it would ever happen. We're not going to be prepared. The organization level is kind of mind-boggling as to what they went through, not as only as a school, but as a community, as the state, things that we don't really think of sitting here in the Midwest, that when the president shows up or dignitaries show up, some of those things are put on the back burner while their safety, they have to, you know, Secret Service and all of those things are taken care of because those dignitaries are showing up on the scene. You know, some very simple things. They said, never have two-handled doors on school buildings or public meetings so that they could be chained together. First responders need keys to buildings, both the inside and exterior and interior keys. Think about family unification plans. If some type of disaster would occur, that you can share with staff, city, and county so that everybody knows. Going to another session, Joplin, it was 3 to 4 days before they really could communicate. Their main form of communication was through social media, trying to find out, you know, where their kids were, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of you know, safety information. And of course, MSBA training, it doesn't stop with the 16 hours, you know, and I personally, I think that that's one of the big improvements that we as a school board can make, is that all of us continue our training, our education, and I would like to kind of put a challenge out there for all of us that within 5 years minimum, that Hillsboro School District could be recognized as an outstanding school board by MSBA, because there's no reason why we cannot educate ourselves. Professional development for us is just as important as it is for our staff.
Well, and Beth has been recognized by MSBA too as going above and beyond the call of duty and getting that next level, that advanced degree. Eric and I got our required training, but she has gone on and earned 1 more year of training, so that's to be commended, and we appreciate that.
I have a mouth, so.
Okay. We need to address the fact, if sometimes board members, directors, that you will talk to Beth Ann about our new committee assignments. We have some spots to fill. We need to reorganize with that. So she'll be sending out that to you, and you need to let her know what you are interested, what committees you're interested in serving on, and so forth. I don't really know what's open at this point, but.
Did you say
okay. So, so look at that. Once, I guess you'll email it to us. Okay. And have some things in mind and let her know, and we'll talk about that we'll vote on it, I guess, at the next board meeting. So feel free to ask questions, and she knows everything. So she knows a lot, so be sure and ask her. Okay. The next item is to pull from the table the Stuco National Conference issue. This item was tabled at the last meeting. We were waiting for our newbies to arrive.
Welcome.
So do I have a motion to pull and approve this from the table? We'll get the motion and then we'll have some discussion about it.
So
Do I
moved.
have- Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, discussion. Beth, I believe you were the one that kind of wanted it.
Well, I wanted to
Tabled the
table
last time.
for kind of the general conversation that this is a sponsor only, is not involving students directly. I mean, it is indirectly because the sponsors are going. And I was throwing out for discussion the restriction of maybe staff attending national conferences on a yearly basis, you know, setting up some type of parameter or guideline that staff only should be maybe once every 3 years, once every other year, once every 5 years, instead of a yearly type thing.
Because there are no students attending this conference.
Right.
It's 3
Right.
staff members, which is being paid for by the student council,
By student funds.
the student funds. I don't know if those were from their activity. I don't know if those were fundraiser accounts.
Yeah, it's from their activity, and they fundraise all year long,
Mhm.
year round.
Okay. And I know the question had been asked, do they attend any state or regional conferences, or is this the only conference, the national conference is the only one they have attended? That's the only one that you attend?
Yeah, the only one that we attend, that's just the sponsors, is national.
Okay,
The
but
one
students
that's
attend,
Is like all week long in the summer, so that's,
and that's here in the local area?
yeah.
Okay.
So there are state level that business sponsors are responsible, or that do go.
So the students attend one in the summer, that's what you said, for a week?
Yeah, no, I was saying like one that would be local that also is just sponsors, but that's like a week-long thing, so
Okay.
it's- this is like a weekend.
Okay. And it's in Niagara Falls?
This year.
Any other discussion or issues that you'd like to discuss?
I guess I don't have enough frame of reference to really understand, you know, how often that issue, and Beth had mentioned it to me when I asked her some questions about it. So, I mean, are there other,
National convention?
yeah,
Is what
that
you're talking about?
do we have people going to every year, or is it, I mean, Eddie know?
We have several different national conventions that attend. Myself, for example, I'll be going to the National Athletic Directors Conference that's in Orlando this year. Our student council goes every year on this particular trip. You can see on the executive summary how it has moved across the country from 2007 until present day. The student council one is a one-year deal, and the national conferences, that's the uniqueness of them, I guess, is that they're only offered one time, and it's one national yearly conference. Now we have state level conferences as well. As far as other programs that go to national conferences, some of our coaches go to their representative national conferences. We've sent our softball coach to Kansas for the national conference. We've sent our baseball coaches to Nashville for a national conference. We've had other national conferences that football has attended that has been in Kansas or St. Louis. We've been fortunate that those have stayed pretty close. We do attend national conferences. It's part of professional development and training, and something that it's worthwhile, but I also understand Director Petrie's concern with trying to set a parameter on it of every other year, or not going every year. I totally understand, and I think the sponsors would understand it as well. And if we have guidelines, we'll definitely follow them.
My point in saying that this was the activities account is because this does not come out of PD funds. I cannot pay
Right.
for this because it's not directly related to a course that they teach.
Correct. It's not a curriculum related.
Correct.
And to piggyback on what Dr. Freeman just said, anytime we do send our coaches, that's coming out of their activity accounts as well, because there is no PD money for coaching professional development. but we think it's important.
Yes, we do.
Right, and I, you know, as a teacher, I was a sponsor, state sponsor, et cetera, of a curriculum-related organization. And so I understand that, but I also know that at the state level, those people's responsibility are to go to the national and bring that information back to the states for the schools and sponsors and kids that don't have the opportunity to go. So, you know, there is kind of that trickle-down effect. So definitely there's value, but as far as an every year expense, and, you know, it is the kids fundraising, and, you know, just kind of have a concern problem with the kids paying for
Would you be more comfortable if we
sponsors.
only sent one sponsor, because we've talked about that as well, instead of sending all three? The reason they usually all go is because, much like what you guys did at the MSBA, they break off into 10 different
Right,
sessions.
different
They're able
sessions.
to bring more back. However, if we sent one sponsor, we can still get the information from them to bring back.
In your case, yours is, you were presenting. So is this a situation where sponsors are involved in the presentations?
They're attending, they're not.
They're just simply attending?
Right.
Because I know.
We were asking mentors, but we are not presenting like sessions.
Right. Because last year, I know you didn't go, but we didn't find out until after the fact that you were supposed to present. I didn't know that until just last meeting. So the more information we have, the better off we are.
So, are we,
Opinions. That's just my opinion.
I'm a proponent of professional development, and especially if some of this is self-funded or there's fundraisers to pay for this. I think that's an important piece of growth and will better our kids.
okay, thank you. Anybody else have thoughts? Okay, so are we ready to vote on this motion about approving? I guess we don't have to pull it if we're going to approve it. So we're going to approve that the sponsors go to the Stuco National Conference as presented.
And so each year, we will vote on this instead of having them guideline.
Okay, so those in favor, just go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, and those opposed? Okay. Next has to, unfinished business, has to do with summer school and the use of 12-month administrators. This was an item that was asked to be brought up and was asked to be on the agenda as a discussion item. So I don't think we're, so we need a motion to get more direction from the board as to what they would like the board to define for those administrators, I think.
How was this brought up? Was this brought up by the
Was-
board or from administrators?
A board member,
Yeah.
last time, it was the last,
meeting.
okay.
It's kind of a spinoff. It's kind of, keeps reappearing.
Okay, so let's have a motion to discuss it, to pull it from the table and discuss it. First was Joan, second was Eric. Okay.
Right, so, yes, at the last board meeting, it was discussed, the board asked the administration to provide some information on the 12-month administrators doing summer school. In the past, and this was before my time, our administrators were not 12 months. About 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, I'm not sure the length of time, how long ago was it?
Dr. Mrs. Aylesworth was 12 months, and I do believe Sherry Snyder was
Okay.
as well.
All right, so now we have the AD 12-month, we have the high school principal 12-month, and any new administrator that's hired as a lead principal, they now have a 12-month contract. So now Mrs. Hildebrand has a 12-month contract, and Dr. Costin, the primary, has a 12-month contract. And it was at that time, I can't speak for the forethought of the board, but I believe the reason was all the activities that happened during the summer, they do not have 12-month secretaries. So kids that are enrolling or getting information like that, preparing for the upcoming year, working on master scheduling like at the high school, all that happens throughout the summer, through the summer months. Also, the board talked about vacations. Those administrators have vacations, and they typically take them during the month of June or the beginning of July, prior to their counselors coming back, which are they 10 days before the counselors, before they return? And so anyway, it was asked that we put this, get some information for the board and put it forward for discussion. Last year and in past years, when we had a full summer school, we used administrative interns, which are teachers, and the district has used this as a training ground for future administrators to work through some of the processes of running school for the summer. And how many of you have done summer school in the past? So a lot of our administrators have that experience and use that experience when they come into the role. So we were asked to provide information so there can be discussion about having those 12-month people do summer school if we were to continue to have it. So that's kind of a little bit of the background.
Well, and Dr. Isaacson gave us some information as well about, to compare what other school districts do. So be sure and look at that as to compensation or how the duties are broken down as well. And then you have some comments from some of the administrators as well. That worked last.
Could we hear from our 12-month administrators, like?
You want to come up front or just hold
Oh, I don't care. You don't have to make a form. Just how this would impact you as an individual, as a school, starting at the high school.
Can I have permission to approach the board or to the chair?
Sure.
I brought visuals. I don't mean this to be sassy or disrespectful, I just think this will be the best way to explain some things. This is prior to me going but I've still told you that I like paper. Starting in 2009, I would like just to show you the high school principal's calendar for May. This is 2010, this is May. I'm just showing you. This is probably not 60% of what actually goes on, it's just the things that a person has to remember or deadlines they have to meet if you want kids to graduate from high school and if you want to have a school year the next year. This is 2012, and here's 2013. I switched to a Jostens calendar because they're 3 years out and it was better for me, but this is May for me. I want to show you that this is July for myself and Mr. Marino. And what these lines indicate are camps, or the yellow and pink are camps going on at the high school. Purple are conferences that I attended for the district. So if we can only take our vacation in July, then we have a lot of camps going on where Mr. Marino and I won't be there for. And that's a time where I develop myself professionally or I attend things on behalf of the district. And as I said, I in no way wanted to be, oh, here you go. I just wanted you to see it in black and white, and I didn't know a better way to do that. Now, additionally, in the last 2 years, last year and this year, this is a spreadsheet for the high school, elementary, primary. We all have them, but these are all the teachers that had counselors and librarians that have to be evaluated. If they're on their summative evaluation, which is a lot of them, they have to be evaluated 8 times. Counselors and librarians were added to this list this year. For the high school, that equates to about 36 to 48 evaluations, depending on where they're at on their year. So I just wanted to bring you a visual of how much we truly have going on, and you know how busy we are during the school year. I understand that you know that. But the crucial time of March, April, and May, when principals are preparing for those end-of-year activities, everybody's got special activities going on, not to mention we're all trying to make sure students are being promoted, we're all trying to make sure that students are passing, we're all communicating with parents, we're all meeting with individuals to get ready for the following school year. It's just a huge job, and it's one that keeps being added to. Nothing's been taken off the principal's plate, nor anyone else's, but I just wanted to have that opportunity to put that in front of you, so I appreciate it.
Dr. Epstein?
I want to just echo what she had said as far as the need adding extra expectations to our plate. And then also we have a lot of high need students that are taking our focus, and we're doing a lot of behavior shaping, which is making it a balancing act of making sure that all the requirements of our job are met by the deadline. So that's something that we're really working on this year, and making sure we're doing as far as getting our need in, getting our PD plans done, and then evaluating all those PD plans the teachers are submitting, and shaping behavior, which is a little more complex this year than it was last year.
And I didn't mention assessment, and of course our state assessments are in the spring.
I think it's important that we also mention that, as our administrators have already alluded to, when Dr. Costin talked a little bit, as a district, the expectations are there for us as administrators to be leaders in our building, but also, as we previously mentioned, to empower teachers to step up and have opportunities to be leaders. And even though our 12-month administrators did not run summer school this year, our admin interns, even though one had been an assistant principal for a year, they weren't left alone. They had mentors, they had 12-month administrators, they had central office administrators. Not all of them are gone during the summer for vacations or conferences. They're still here, and we're able to build and lead and shape and help where those individuals had need. So I don't want the board to think that those three individuals didn't have any support system in place, I guess is the best way to put that. Ms. Hildebrand, I know this is your first year as a 12-month administrator, but you have worked summer school in the past, and you've been an administrator in the district for several years, so do you have a perspective you'd like to share?
I would just echo what these two ladies have said. Any additional responsibilities would obviously take additional time, and speak for, I think, everybody around here, our jobs much go into the evening, so it would just take some additional time.
You're the other 12-month.
My situation is a little unique, dealing with all the athletics and activities, and the spring is definitely a busy time because I do everything I can to help out with the administrative team at the high school as far as all this planning that's going on in the spring, but also because of the facilities we have, we're allowed the opportunity to host a lot of district and state level events. This fall alone, we have now hosted district softball, district volleyball, and next week we'll have district soccer. In the winter, we're not going to host any district level events very well, so but then in the spring we come back, we have golf, baseball, track, and soccer. And on top of all the other duties that I have, speaking selfishly, in addition to trying to run a summer school program, I won't be able to do both, and I will let one of them down. I won't be able to keep all the balls in the air at the same time, and something will suffer, and that scares me. It scares me professionally, and it scares me for our kids.
And I also agree with the external time commitment, and like you're working on your doctorate right now, and on the weekends and those evenings that going to Mizzou for your doctorate also cuts into your time for your professional growth. So also wanted to share that. Hope you don't mind I shared that.
But now if I don't complete it, I'm just on my failure, so that's fine.
Well, I'm glad it's out there.
Motivation. Okay, so piggybacking off something that you said, that obviously the 12-month administrators are in the building. So my concern is that putting people in that position, teachers that have an administrative degree but not really the experience, if there were or was like one of those building administrators at each level that really was there, that person, whether it's an intern or whoever, could not report to, but ask for help on a regular basis instead of feeling like, you know, they're out there by themselves.
That's Mrs. Rank. Yes.
I was going to say, I'm here during summer school and have always pretty much been the director as
But you're
far
at
as.
Central,
I am at Central,
Yeah.
but I'm also in the buildings.
are you?
And so, and we do a lot of planning and work together. And I mean, there's many days that we discuss what's going on during summer school, and then there's a lot of planning that takes place. It's a pretty immense, responsibility to plan all that, to look at the curriculum, to make sure teachers are, everyone has to be certified, you're submitting state reports and things like that. And I do the guiding for most of that, but I also want those interns and newer administrators to have that opportunity to do some of that. And like I said, as far as the, discipline and things like that, we work together on that, and that's usually those rules are set out. There's a lot that they have to coordinate the transportation and, the food service with, they work with Kim, they work with Ronnie. So there's a lot of that coordination, gives them some excellent experience, and I'm the person there that they can come and talk to, or to, determine if that's the way we have to. Well, there's a manual we follow from the state, of course. So, there's all those things that I think are important for someone that's getting into administration to do and have that support at the same time. Like I said, and if I'm not available, we have made sure that there is a 12-month administrator that can be contacted or is available to assist. So there's always been someone available for our summer school program.
So how many years have we had interns or teachers acting as administrators? How
Well,
long has this practice
I was just
been
looking
in
at my
place?
files. My files go back to 2005.
I was gonna say, I did it in 2004.
Yeah, so.
As an intern?
Yeah, and I think I did it even before.
You've been
before
doing
that.
it a lot.
Yeah,
It's been a lot
so
of stuff.
it's been a long time.
You're saying she's old, right?
I am old.
Leader.
I am old now.
Well, but we did have a break in between some of that
We
too, where
did.
we didn't have summer school.
Right, and
So
that
it wasn't
was,
constant.
yes. And that was, because that was a pared down summer school. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, then,
As far as-
wasn't there a couple of years we didn't have summer school at all?
We had what we needed to offer, which was extended school year for
Okay,
IEP students.
but
and
that's a real
right,
difference.
it was very limited.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is correct. And we had someone oversee that and be available, but it wasn't the number of students, that we.
Right.
This year we had a huge number of students. And,
Well, this past one was kind of the biggest one we've had in
Yes.
quite a while,
yeah.
full blown, where
Right.
before it really wasn't at that level.
And that does help us with our attendance and with ADA and all of
Which is
that.
good.
Yeah, that's helpful. So,
Was there ever anything in policy that said anything about 12-month administrators in summer school?
No, not to my knowledge, that I've seen.
I was just saying not that.
Basically, I think the only thing in policy talks about summer school being an extension of the regular school year and academic environment. But all of these teachers are certified administrators. They're not
They
just
have their
teach
specialist
acting,
degrees
not necessarily
or-
specialists, but a master's in
Okay.
administration.
And it has to be for core data. They have to
Okay.
be-
In order for that program to work, they have to be certified.
So in answer to Lisa's question, the comments that were made last, and John, you were here, we're the oldies here. You're a little bit older than I am. At the board- I'm an age, you're an experience, board experience. The comments that were made by Dr. Maynard at that meeting that, when they went to 12-month, that this was part of the 12-month responsibilities, that was just
That's before my time,
out there.
but I can,
I mean, I had never.
that-
That
that's
was
gonna be
that was when we were paring down the
Okay.
summer school, and at that point in time, There were just going to be, I don't even know, Kathy, if we even had credit recovery, but we had extended school year and we had
a little
offered.
bit of credit recovery.
Yeah.
We're talking maybe 6 kids.
Right.
And those were only
Special.
seniors who didn't meet graduation requirements.
And at that point, rather than hire an administrator, it was determined that we would use existing administrators that were 12-month or, no, not even 12-month, newly hired.
Correct.
And so that was how,
'Cause that's
like
totally
Dr.
different
Tooley,
than what
when she was
Right.
hired in, she
was
was
said.
told she would do that.
Well, I wouldn't
and
say
then
totally different because
supposed-
they
it was
did
supposed to
supervise
rotate.
some summer school, but it was not a
But-
full-blown program like we had last
It
year.
was maybe 50 kids at the most,
Well,
to
yeah.
75.
No, it was more, you're totally doing
I mean, is that how you recollect, or is
Well,
you
that,
thinking?
what you said is not what he had said at that night at the meeting. And
And it kind of,
yours makes sense.
yeah, and it
I didn't mean it that way. I mean,
no, yeah, well, it was a
I'm a
confusing
big-
time because we had
Sorry.
summer
It was
school got
really
pared
about-
down.
It was
And
really about 10.5-month employees as new ones were brought in, going to
Right,
11
okay.
months.
Mhm.
And
Right.
the 12-month employee, I mean, I think, am I the only 12-month? I guess I'm
You
the-
were the only,
Okay.
no, at that
It's
point.
never been discussed with me.
Right.
okay,
But
well,
then it's all-
and that night, it sounded like when Hillsboro started doing that, then this was part of the cell factor. And I was asking that question. So
I just
what
think-
you just said is valid.
I just think, knowing the hours that our principals put in, late nights, weekends, the timing of when this is with their planning for the next year and finishing the year, I don't think it would be a benefit to have them do that.
Well, I agree with what Ms. Marino said, something will suffer.
Yeah, but well.
And you as a board have to decide what that is, because these administrators, I know the amount of time they put in, you're right. They put a lot of work in, a lot of time, in school, out of school, at home, on weekends. And for the cost of what you pay and the amount we hope to receive and recoup, in which we present every year to the board as we get ready to approve the summer school program around February or March as projected numbers, you know then what you're looking at. I mean, this program, we were shooting for 1,100 kids and we got right at 1,000. So we were excited about that because this is the first one we've had in a lot of years.
Well, with all due respect, it's going to be a lot of work for whoever takes this on, whether it's a teacher, because their May looks crazy too.
Correct.
You know, it's difficult for anybody. Those responsibilities are huge, so I would think that's where the stipend comes in.
Correct.
Right, it does.
And
Has
keep it there
the-
above and beyond for
Yeah.
experience.
Right. Did you have something?
I assume this came up for fiscal reasons, but I look at it, I mean, from what I hear, it depends on, each year that program may change a little bit or what we're
Right.
doing, and, I mean, I guess, I look at that as it's your job to tell me what you recommend when it's time to plan for summer school. I mean, I don't know that we can set a rule now. I mean, we may decide that summer school goes back to what Kathy described as 6 kids. I mean, it's nice information, but I think that's your job when it's time to talk about summer school, to tell us, here's, my people are too booked to do this, and
Right.
that's,
And you're correct, that's with administrative decisions that we make, but that would be presented to the board in around February, early March, mid-March, for you to know kind of what's going on. And then we can decide then, hey, we're going to have to dial back our program, so maybe our administrators can do it, or we want to do a large program and we need help. Yes, sir.
I was thinking December would be nice.
Yeah, December.
I was
Yeah,
getting
well,
March
I
is
was
too
just
late.
Well, I had a couple of questions. When's the planning? When you
And
going to
really-
start it?
Right, and we have done it more like February, March, because we
Right.
haven't had that full-blown, but as we
This
saw
year.
last year, now we need that time back again, so we need to present it to you a little sooner.
Earlier.
So hopefully a December
And-
plan.
And as a part of my function, as far as some of the things that you were asking regarding some of our newer administrators, is I can meet with them or even outline, hey, these are the things that you'll deal with, you'll be scheduling, but when it comes to this level of employment issue, or this level of discipline, if it's a suspension or something, get some help.
Help.
And that's what and here's our expectation of you know, a kid's tardy, yeah, you don't need to call
Right.
Dr. Freeman. That's outside your experience level, and have that kind of a clear outline for them, and guide them on it, as coaching there.
So I see this as something we're not really gonna make a decision on, but at least maybe we can have some more information about summer school started earlier, so that if an administrator does have to step in, they have more time for preparation and planning. Because if you dump it on them at the last minute, that's crazy. That's crazy for whoever takes that position.
Which
So-
is kind of what almost happened last year. Because it
So
didn't happen
the
until
earlier we can
mid-February.
start looking at numbers, and you'll know about maybe graduation situations or kids that need credit hours and so forth by then, surely.
Well, after that third quarter grades come out, that's when we
That's
we
when you
monitor
really
it
know.
every single week, but boy, third quarter, but by that, but the planning has to be in place, because we offer
Absolutely.
a lot of other courses.
So,
And that was a strong benefit for our kindergarten students, the ones coming into kindergarten this
Oh,
year.
yes.
That's been a very, that was something we really missed. And so that was one of the huge benefits that we have. We're hoping to improve the numbers with those kindergarten kids as they know that we're having summer school.
so any other thoughts, or I think we're good with that? We can move on? Okay. All right. Moving on to some policies. We tabled several policies when we had our openings, and we'd like to have a motion to pull BBFA, GCD, GCI, and GDC from the table, and possibly set up a workshop for us to all look at them together, and so you can be included in those, because we hadn't finished when we were interrupted.
So made. Second.
Second.
Okay.
Who you taking for the second? Eric?
Okay, so discussion, any questions?
I'm sorry,
So we're pulling those policies and asking if it's okay to set up a workshop for us to.
we're not going to discuss the policies, because it didn't make the agenda.
No,
Right.
not
Okay.
tonight.
No,
Because I don't even know if you have them yet.
the BBFA has to do with
It wasn't on the public
baptism.
one that I started with, but
Okay.
it was in the packet.
Right.
That's
Got it.
And we wanted you to have plenty of time to look at them,
Okay,
because
that's fine.
they're rather lengthy.
We're talking next week, we're talking the following.
Well,
Well,
that's
it can't
something
be the
we need
second week
to.
of- It can't be the second week of, it have to be the first week of November. How's that look for everyone's schedule?
I'm going.
Okay?
Because
Second
that's-
week's bad, so we're looking at the third week.
That means,
Wasn't that the week?
That's a long time,
That's right. Plus you're getting close to Thanksgiving.
Is that Thursday?
unless we did it early in the week. I'm leaving on the 30th for a week
30th of what?
of October, and won't be back till the 6th of November.
Well, what does our next week look like? Is a week enough time for you to prepare?
Thursday's the Region 7, but Wednesday.
Well, if we go to the Region 7, that's the 29th, correct?
Something's happening Wednesday.
can we ask that question? How many are interested?
Wednesday is policy review, but,
Wednesday's policy review.
Right.
but if some of us are here, we
We could just stay.
could just stay. That's
What's that policy?
Policy starts at
4.
4.
We can do that. You guys are.
Come at 6.
Okay?
What day
What
is it?
about the rest of it?
That's
Wednesday.
Wednesday, that's gonna
Next
hit you.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, the
Yes, sorry.
28th.
I can maybe make it
That would be best for me. My
Okay.
last trip.
So basically what we're having is the policy review with the teachers, and then we can, well, I just want you to understand that typically Beth Ann types all of that up for the board, so you're just gonna take our anecdotal jot downs and let us share that with you, if that's okay.
You'll have some on the screen too.
Sometimes she types on the screen and makes adjustments right there, but,
'Cause you're-
Okay, I lost something.
yes, ma'am.
Aren't we not just dealing with the BBFA, the GCI, the G?
Yes.
I mean, not all of the policies that the committee is.
Oh, you are correct. Yes,
So
ma'am, I stand
this
corrected.
we already have.
That is correct.
We have all of it, I'm assuming.
I was thinking the
you
new
guys-
AC,
No.
That's right.
ACAE
No.
policies and all that.
This is just
Very
to
good. Thank you for
tie
that
up
correction.
the nepotism issue.
Right, right, I do
Get it
apologize.
signed,
This is
sealed,
just those
delivered.
policies, so,
So that we can finalize it.
When the
Okay.
agenda gets posted for that we'll try
It'll be a
my
work
suggestion with the title instead of just the BBFA.
Yes, I've already talked to Beth Ann about
That'd be
that,
nice.
yes.
Okay. So we had a motion, do we need to vote on that?
No,
then?
you don't, well, you need to vote to set the, you have a motion to pull it from the
To set the
table.
workshop.
So,
Yeah.
we will need to have, if you will ask John
To
Lewis,
amend-
to amend.
Right.
6 PM on the 28th.
8 at 6. Okay, and who did the second? Eric, and you're good with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so,
So BBF.
all in favor to pull those policies and have a workshop on the 28th at 6 PM here? So raise your hand.
And that is open session.
That will be
That
open
will be
session.
open. Okay, moving on to new business. We have approval of bills. So do I have a motion to approve the bills for payment in the amount of $698,353.82 as presented? On the first, so moved and second, Eric. Any questions?
I have a question, it's more about format.
Okay.
And who to direct it to, probably that way.
Mrs. Gensch.
I guess there's a proprietary software that does the report that you print from. Is there a way where you have the chart of account number? Can we do chart description instead of chart of account number? I mean, I think for the public, talk about transparency, I think for the public it's a lot easier to see, hey, this going to the description of the account instead of the account stream. Is that possible? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I can ask them.
I just think it would make it more readable for the public instead of trying to cross-reference the string.
I mean, the account is, I don't know what additional information I may offer you, except the building and whether it's a supply or purchase service, which usually we can tell by the description. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know you can, and we can, but when the public looks at this, they can't, you know, they take the time to take that account string and go back and look at the chart of accounts. Number one, most people aren't gonna know how to do that.
right.
And two,
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
what that account name is gonna look like, we'll just say, it'll say if it's an activity account, if
Right.
it is, but it'll just say like intermediate supply,
Right.
intermediate purchase service.
It's gonna tell me where in the budget it's coming from, instead of the account string. I just wanna know if it's possible.
So it includes
I can check into it. I'm not sure.
We'll look into it. I'll jot a note down, see what we can do.
Okay, any other questions on approval of bills or discussion? If we're good? I see some perplexed looks, but are we okay? Okay, so let's vote. All in favor, show of hands for the approval of the bills? Okay.
Yeah.
Were you a yes?
I'll abstain.
Abstain, okay. So
6-0,
one abstention and
6-0.
6. Okay, now we are looking for the approval, a motion to approve the Jefferson County Officials Association contract for 2016 and 2017 softball and baseball seasons as presented. Second by Eric. Any discussion on the approval of those contracts? Okay, so let's take our vote then. All in favor, raise your hand. And that would be good. Okay, moving on to the calendar. I believe we had, Beth, you had something you wanted to discuss about the calendar. So, what? The calendar I'm going to put on the floor. I'm just going to throw it down there. No.
Can I make a motion and discuss?
So we,
May I make a motion first? and
to
then
discuss the calendar? Is that right? Okay.
May I please?
Second.
Is that okay?
Go.
Okay. I move that on Wednesday, November the 25th, which is the day before Thanksgiving, all staff may choose to leave work once the student-related duties are completed or student dismissal is complete for the district.
So you made the motion, and I'll second it. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. That was my deaf ear. All right, discussion.
And I'll start with why. Mainly in appreciation. This has been a very challenging year for everybody. And so an appreciation to staff. Thank you. And also this has been a practice within our district for 20-some years that I'm aware of. And so I would like to change the calendar. There is no PD schedule, I checked that, and that's my reasoning.
Okay, I know one of the questions though had to do with hourly staff.
That's correct.
Which is why
The
we discussed
issues,
that.
sorry?
we gave them the choice if they wanted, if an hourly staff member wanted to stay and were,
So that they didn't lose out.
right, they could
Okay.
do that if they chose to do that.
And there was some discussion about in the past, like a snow day, we would offer those hourly people extra time later on in the year to make up the pay that they had lost because they're hourly employees. In this case, they would not be afforded that opportunity. Either they work that day or they don't work. It's a choice they make. They do not have to use a leave day. It's not, the change to the calendar is not within the student attendance portion or the month of days. It's just on the bottom where it says teacher contracted days and then student attendance days. That's what you're changing.
So it's 3 hours, basically?
Yeah, it's like 3 hours.
And if you've talked to like
Then 2
secretarial
hours.
staff,
2 hours.
2 hours?
2 hours.
That one.
Okay.
yeah, secretarial staff, the amount of phone calls and some of the irate, horrendous phone calls that they had to deal with, you know, during our media attention, it just is kind of appalling.
It's just a gracious.
Yes, it's like a thank you. We do appreciate you. We know it's tough.
Any other comments, discussion, or thoughts? Okay, so the motion, would you read, are we just adding? No, read your motion again.
Okay. I have it
So I
written
don't.
down. I move that on Wednesday, November the 25th, the day before Thanksgiving, all staff may choose to leave work once their student-related duties are completed or student dismissal is complete for the district.
Okay, so were you able to get all that? Does she need to give you a copy?
Yes.
Will you give her a copy of that? Because I have a lot to write down. All right, all in favor with a show of hands? Yes? Motion carries. All righty. Trying to go quickly here. The next item has to do with consideration of a purchase of a vehicle, or vehicles, pardon me, purchasing of 2 vehicles to be used by the maintenance department. So, we are looking for a motion to allow the administration to set pricing locally for 2 used vehicles and with the possibility to purchase. So we're putting the motion out. Thank you. Thank you. Discussion.
Can you click on those photos for me, Steve, in that? Here recently, the maintenance department has, this is a 1992, 1993 truck that the maintenance department has used. They were having some difficulty with it not wanting to, I guess, operate efficiently, and we have, that's a good word, operate efficiently. So they took the unit down and had our certified inspectors look at it, who actually grounded it and said they are not going to let it back on the road. What you're seeing here is there's a lot of rust coming up in the floorboard. The shocks on the rear had rusted off, the tabs had rusted off, and we have a big hole in the floor pan of the truck. And that truck is a truck that's used, we used to use it for snow, and that's why you see a lot of wear and tear on the vehicle, and again, it's a 1993 model. The next issue we have is that a van that's used by our HVAC guys was down at the bus garage during the flood of July 2nd, the high water, and it was totaled, and I believe it was 4,500, Ray? What was the?
48.
48, thank you, Ray. So As you can see, we're in need of 2 vehicles. Now, Ray and I have contacted the group that has a state bid, which is in Jefferson City. State bid, you can purchase vehicles a little bit less, but you're still talking upwards of $60,000 to get 2 brand new ones. And talking with Ray, he would be just as tickled to have a couple of good used vehicles and not have to pay a full price. But to do that, it's difficult for us we have to go look and find something. And we're not going to be shopping on eBay or Craigslist, but we're going to go to some local used car dealers. We found a van, but the van's brand new. It's $22,000 is what they would like to have for it, and it's over at Herky at one of the dealerships there. But again, we're trying to save as much money as possible. This was not a planned expense. This will be a Fund 4 expenditure. It'll have to come out of our Fund 4 reserves. But Ray says he can throw in $4,800. But I told him that wouldn't buy him much, maybe a Pinto. He can put a snow plow on a Pinto. But
did the insurance, is that the $4,800 from the insurance?
$4,800 is from the insurance, that's correct, for the van. The truck, of course, as you can see, it's been in the fleet for a lot of years and has not much use. Other than the motor, we would like to try to keep it for parts if we buy something comparable. That's just kind of a breakdown of what we're looking at.
Money-wise, where do we stand?
Well, Ray and I talked, and we're hoping less than $25,000 for the both. Otherwise, Ray, we're talking what, 40 to 60 for 2 brand new ones.
Correct.
And I just don't think we can afford that right now. But Ray has to have something.
So you have to have a truck.
We have to have a truck. We'd like to have a 1-ton that we can put or at least a 3/4 ton minimum to put the salt spreader on, which can be used for multiple purposes. Now the van, the HVAC guys, they don't have to have a 12 to 16 passenger panel van. We can make do with what we can get, but we like to have all their tools out of the weather, especially when you're working on HVAC units.
Under normal circumstances, would we ever consider putting those out for bid? For
Yes.
especially the local, even if we are going to go used, we wouldn't.
Right, and we can still do that. We can still say, this is what we're looking for, do you have anything? Which is similar to what I did. Just picked up the phone and said, do you have anything, and what do you have? So we like to keep everybody as honest as possible. Typically, if we purchase something, we try to get 3 quotes. So we call local area vendors. The last vehicle, the van we purchased, was up at Capital Dodge in Jefferson City on the state bid, and it saved some money, but it was a brand new vehicle as well. Yes, sir, Ray.
Just so you know, also, we have been, like Dr. Foreman said, we're in contact with other local vendors. Jim Butler is working on some projects for us. Blackwell Motors is working on it. St. Paul, and also Ozark Plaza down here in DeSoto. So we have looked at a number of places. The gentleman we talked to in those areas are working with us to help us locate things.
How, I mean, new vehicles you can compare, but how do you do it used?
You don't. I mean,
You did
basically
not
what we
give
do,
them specifications
what we
to-
try to do is say, this is what we're looking for, a 1-ton vehicle, we don't care what color, and it doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles, just tell us what you got. And sometimes they'll go to the sale and look, but what we don't want to do is have them go to a sale and buy and us not be committed to pick it up. Same thing with St. Paul. They had 2 vehicles, and I got a phone call the other day, and they said, hey, when are you going to know something? And I said, well, I don't know that we're going to be able to spend $22,000 on a van. So that's kind of the discussion we're trying to have with you tonight.
So what do you need a directive, or do you need?
Well, I guess, I need the board to say, yeah, Doc, it's okay. If you need them, go try to find a couple of good used ones. What we do, similar with Ronnie Martin and the buses, we bring them back and let our mechanics look at them, try to get something certified. GM has certified products or some mileage type of coverage in case it breaks down or something of that nature. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just asking a policy question, because I know in our policy it says a bid over 3,000 or
That's correct.
15,000 is a sealed bid.
That is
So
correct.
how does this work into meeting or guiding the policy guidelines?
Well, there's also that policy. You remember what that policy is off the top of your head?
The call letters?
Yeah, we work with them. It's purchasing policy. We'll pull it up and look at it. Do what?
F.
I think it starts with F, doesn't it, Gage? F. We're gonna pull up and look at it. I believe there's a rider in there that says that if we need to forego that to make a decision to purchase, we can do so. I know there's one for an emergency clause, but I don't consider this an emergency where we could circumvent that. But I do agree, but it's kind of outside the norm of what we typically do as a district because we get sealed bids. But that's typically when you do like a construction project or replacing a freezer. Like I was in a district where our freezer went out.
Right.
Well, we couldn't wait to get a bunch of bids or we were going to lose all the government commodity that we had. Yes, sir.
On the bids on the 15,000, a lot of it does apply with the FEF policy, which is more of the construction. So we do have that a lot. Now, on most of the purchasing of vehicles, a lot of times, as long as we can present, mainly including state bids and 2 other bids to the board, in the past, it's been allowed not to have to be a closed or sealed bid. That's how we've done it in the past. But the FEF policy pretty well covers a lot of the of your construction.
Good job.
There you go.
So what does it say?
It says purchases that may exceed 15,000 must have prior board approval unless this policy's emergency provisions are applicable.
But there's no reason.
Scroll on down.
Keep on down, going down.
Competitive purchasing, right there.
And
So
there's
will be competitive, yes.
Employees are expected
I think it would be smart to give all of the people that you're talking to directives on, we want it a comparable.
Bid, sure.
And
Which is typically
I
what
would
we
like to see us get a couple or 3.
So what we do is call Safe Paul and say, we're looking for a 3/4 ton truck, roll-up windows, base model. What do you have? Give us a quote. What can you get us one for? And they'll want to know mileage, range, engine size. I mean, it's difficult to get specific when they're going to try to give you a used vehicle.
Yeah.
But we
I
can
realize
get.
that, but I think if you give them parameters and
Yes,
they know
ma'am.
that there's more people bidding on that, they're going to be working a little harder to find the
Right. I agree.
better deal for them. Just experience.
So,
But I'm open.
And I'm looking at that when purchasing officer determines purchase requires competitive negotiations, products or services may be purchased on competitive proposals, which is similar to what you're talking about rather than a bid.
Right. It could be an RFP.
That is correct.
Proposal instead of a.
Right.
so you're wanting us to give you permission to go look for
Go find a good
these,
used vehicle.
and then
that-
bring those,
if they'll hold them that long.
right.
Well, why couldn't?
You're having a meeting, if we could try to find something between now and next week, we could present it, but we'd have to post a meeting as we're conducting official business rather than just a work session.
Well, why can't? We could authorize tonight a ceiling and say, well, get that bid not to exceed,
You are correct.
and then you guys.
Say, Doc, we don't want you going over $30,000. We want you spending 30, no more. And, or for both. And go and look. And if we can't find anything, we'll come back and tell you. Or if you say 20,000, well, I mean, the problem is when you start getting into those 3/4 to 1 ton work trucks, they're hard to find.
So where do the funds come from? You said
It'd be a Fund 4, which that is our capital outlay fund.
How do
Currently,
we stay in, what is the balance in that account?
Of that fund exactly?
Well,
I know we
yeah.
have some sitting budgeted that we can move to there.
Okay.
That's for this.
Emergency.
So how
like
much,
this.
how much would that be that we have?
I have like
70,000, okay. So that would make a small bit.
You know, there's stuff like raise, other stuff that comes.
That's
up,
not
and
the
that's
overall
where I-
total
Right.
fund.
Okay,
But that's
Whole.
that's
She has
already
some she
budgeted
can
money she
work
can
with.
move.
yes,
Correct.
okay.
So, Kelly, is this a fund, like the tax hearing, is some of that going in to rebuild that fund, or is
We
that?
don't have any of the tax monies
Okay.
right now going into that
But
fund.
we are gonna have to address
Just if
that.
we
Right.
bring in certain revenue streams that are supposed to go into the capital fund.
Okay, but it's not.
You can do like at the end of the year, a one-time fund, one fund
There's
for
transfers we
transfer,
can make.
but as of right now, what's important to say is that there is some funds in there we can move over, but it would still be a budget amendment to move for that purchase. But there's more than 70,000 in Fund 4, I want to say that, so people aren't.
Yeah, I would just have to transfer.
But I agree with Kelly that one of these days we're going to have to address, because, you know, with the asphalting we've been doing, the work at the junior high, those things that would come out of Fund 4, and we have to put the money back in there. So we might want to consider a nickel down the road going from our levy into Fund 4 to help build that back up. At last count, we had 1.1 million in that Fund 4.
We can do that transfer, the transfer at the end of the year to cover the expenditures that we have made.
Correct.
And there's a transportation transfer we can make as well, to kind of build that Fund 4 back up. But it does pull from Fund 1.
So, any suggestions?
So you think 30, 35 is a reasonable one? What do you?
I think so. I think so, don't you, Ray?
Yeah.
I don't think any more than that, because if you're going to go 40, you might as well go get brand new ones. I think, and here again, if we can't find anything for 35, we'll take the next meeting. We couldn't find anything, but my worry is we got to start planning, because pretty soon we'll be pushing snow, and we got to have a big proactive. Do what now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You can get
That's what we're thinking too.
the snow truck.
That's going to be around 20. That's going to be tough.
So, do I have a motion?
And we're going to use the part of the policy that talks about collective, competitive negotiations, not
Right.
the one that talks about.
But we're gonna set a ceiling, is that what we're gonna do? Like
Yeah,
30,
not to
35?
exceed.
Not to exceed what? 30, 35 were numbers that were tossed
I
around.
say 35 to give them the room to.
Everybody agree with that? Okay. So, because it's already in policy, do we have to?
You have to vote.
We still have to vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Go do it.
So we have the policy, we're gonna follow the policy, but set a ceiling of $30,000 to $35,000 to purchase both vehicles, to try to purchase both vehicles. Don't know if that will happen. Okay, do we have a second, a first and a second, first and a second? Okay. And let's do a show of hands, all in favor? Very good. Okay. We are looking for approval for the intermediate, my favorite place, to apply for the National School of Character Award. I know, I crossed the line, I'm sorry. One of my favorites, I'll say it that way, okay? This is just verbiage. Sorry. So I need a motion to approve for the intermediate to apply to receive the National School of Character Award.
So moved.
Thank you, Beth. Second, Eric. Discussion. Did all of you get the information on that? Were able to read about it?
The only question I had is, how do I know what budget item that comes from? Just as I'm trying to get a handle on it.
The $100.
The $100 will probably come from it. You gonna take out of your student activity account?
Yes, yes.
There you go. Come from
Not a
this.
problem with that.
Be his cookie dough fundraiser.
Didn't say let them eat cake.
So,
So, we had a question earlier about, so if you win, what happens?
Well,
What's the result?
that people who, we have a school that we're working with that has done this before and gone through this process. Generally speaking, you don't get it your first year. Because what they do is they take your application and then they send back what you need to work on to improve your application. And so that's our plan and process. If we do win, then we will be sending a couple to receive the award, and we'll bring that to you guys as well. But that would be through cookie dough money as well. How we
Okay.
pay for that. But if we do, we'll bring that to you at that
So is
time.
it just a plaque or?
What?
I mean, is it just like a plaque?
Is
or
it
what kind
banner?
of-
It's a recognition to, kind of associated with the U.S. Department of Education, not directly though. But yes, it's a plaque and you receive national acclaim.
Attention, yes.
And it's through their website. It's through character.org, which is based out of Washington, D.C. So it, I'm not sure if it's a banner, if it's a plaque, how it works, that regard, but.
So it's basically just the recognition?
Correct.
For like 5 years? Or is it for
It's-
lifetime recognition?
It's every 3.
Every 3 years?
And then,
It's an accolade.
oh, and then it also allows you access to resources.
To continue your character
Correct.
education.
Yes.
Which, by the way, you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, I know. I'm gonna pat him on the back from here. That's your recognition for now.
That's good enough. We don't need it.
Okay, good. All right. So we have a motion on the floor to approve applying for this award. Let's show of hands again for those who agree, voting yes. Okay, motion carries. All right. Looking for a motion that has to do with applying for the 3 grants for the high school Nature Works Everywhere Garden grants. The Youth Educator Sustainable Agricultural Grant, is that a grant or grants? And Annie's Grants for Gardens to expand resources for the agricultural class at the high school. Gosh, that's a mouthful. That's a lot of agriculture. Okay. Any discussion on that grant, for them to apply for the grant?
I just have a general question. This is not requesting matching funds or anything like that, so
They just want to apply for the grant.
why, that's why I'm asking, why
do they
do
have
we
to
need
ask?
approve?
Board policy says that anytime
doesn't-
your name's attached to a grant, you have to come to the school and ask for permission.
Okay,
School.
well, that was my question. It's in the policy.
So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
know what you're asking money for.
Simply because of those matching grants, you'll get yourself into a
Well,
predicament where
yeah,
it's
right.
75,
And that
25 matching grant like your FE4s, AP2s
Yeah,
for OA.
The
And
matching,
business-
I understood, but to me,
Right.
this was like, go for it. If you're gonna write a grant, go for
Yeah,
it.
well, and there's 3 of them.
Yes.
Looks like to me.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Got the same question.
Okay,
I do have a statement. Have they finished the greenhouse?
Everything's done except for the plastic that they're putting.
plastic.
I think it looks great.
It's gonna be
It's not what I
awesome.
thought.
Where
Yeah, I
is
think
it? I haven't seen it.
it's on the south side of the high school.
It's actually a blue house, but you know.
Blue, yeah. I like
Well, it should be blue. Does it have a hawk on the plastic?
It will, I'm
Okay.
it. It's
It'll be
very
a white
nice.
one.
It is.
It was done right.
that's
Yeah.
great.
I know the kids are loving that new program.
Yes.
A fun thing, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Learning but fun, hands-on,
There
absolutely.
you go. Cool.
Okay, so are we ready to vote for approval to apply? Show of hands for approval. Okay. Then we have safety grants. We have someone to make a motion to approve the administration applying for an educational safety grant through the Missouri Center for Educational Safety. Thank you, Eric.
Second.
And Beth. Okay. This was prepared by Mr. Ramsey. Any questions or discussions?
I appreciate Director Petrie
Yes, she
at
did.
the conference brought this to our attention. I think there's $400,000 for the state of Missouri to qualify for. Some things that she was talking about at the trainings are things that we started last year trying to develop. Our safety buckets, I know the maintenance crew enjoyed washing out the jalapeno buckets we had donated from up in the city. So we have safety buckets in all the classrooms. One of the things we did talk about that she did mention already is the unification process. If you do have a mass casualty event, how are you going to and where are you going to unify with parents? We've been working with Brian Gaudet at here local in the community about trying to develop a process to go through an actual mock scenario and reunification event. Last year we started with now transportation barn, taking one of our old buses and flipping it over on its side and working with EMS, EMTs on how to get kids safely out of the school bus. And then that bus was actually being hauled off for scrap. So what we would like to do is try to expand and extend some of the things we're currently doing. We're shooting for the moon and hopefully we can get something. And this is going to be due the first couple weeks of November, so we're wanting to get it in.
And you
This
said
is-
they were told the sooner they could get it
That
in,
was
the
kind of
better.
implied. And this was one of the positives that came out of the Sandy book.
One of our conferences.
Yeah.
So it'll give us more of an edge to get it in faster.
I texted as soon as I heard.
But this is something I think we definitely
At least try.
need to.
We're
Yeah,
gonna try.
absolutely. Okay. Without further ado then, I guess we'll take a vote. We're looking to approve the administration to apply for this grant. All in favor? Very good. Okay, and the last new business item is we need a motion to approve 3 students and 2 chaperones as delegates of the Hillsboro JAG program to the JAG National Student Leadership in Washington, D.C.
So moved.
Did you get those, John, those 2? Discussion.
This was sent home to you on the 48-hour notice. We were just
Your email,
notified
I guess.
about that, and I'd like to let Dr. Freeman speak a little bit more to it.
Our area coordinator for Jobs for America's Graduates he is the most amazing man. He finds money, and the state of Missouri is doing an excellent job of investing in this program. So he again has found funding sources to send schools from all of the JAG participating high schools in the state to this national conference. And after having gone as a delegate in the summer to the training conference, because our JAG instructors, it was such late notice they were able to attend, I can tell you that this is a game-changing program. It is such an amazing thing for our kids to meet several indicators of potentially being at risk of not persevering toward graduation. So to send some delegates to Washington, D.C. would just take us even that much further. And it totally will be paid for from, as I put out there, most of it is going to be reimbursed by the new funding source that Mr. Kincaid came up with, but we did receive a $30,000 incentive to start a JAG program in the junior high and high school. So we've got money to go ahead and fund the trip until the reimbursements come back in as well.
So what level of kids?
The high school.
It's going to be
Mr.
high
Kincaid
school.
felt like we should focus on high school kids this year.
So are you looking at younger, like freshman, sophomore level, one at each level?
Actually,
Are you
Mr. Nansel, our JAG specialist, he held an essay contest.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to choose 3 of the essays.
I was just curious. Cool.
You'll let us know who gets to go.
I absolutely will let you know. And I know Mr. Nansel will be the male chaperone. We asked Mrs. Mager, who works with Mr. Nansel and JAG, to be the female, but her husband can't get off, so she's going to have some child care situations, so she can't go. Mr. Kincaid asked if I could go, so I'm fine with that. I certainly can, but if you'd rather have someone else go, that's fine too.
That was actually a topic of discussion earlier with the board,
Okay.
with the thespian conference, that if we do not have a male chaperone, or we have a female chaperone with male students, that maybe we need to try to coordinate with neighboring districts to make sure we can share chaperones.
Another thing we do, Dr. Corwin, when we run situations like that, is we use a male or female bus driver, so that we have someone of the opposite gender that can check those students if something needs to be done.
Hope you're not driving to Washington, D.C.
I know.
Sorry. I'm going to put that out there right now.
In a school bus.
In a school bus. In that truck that Ray's going to get.
In high school. Wheeling, West Virginia was fun. Everything but okay, any other discussion on this trip? Okay, so are we ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Very good. Okay, this looks like we complete our list. Is there anything else that I don't have? Oh, I got that. Right, I have that too. Okay. I was just checking to make sure there wasn't anything else. Okay, so we need a motion to adjourn this open session. So we will recess shortly and then go into our closed session. Do I have a motion to adjourn the closed session? Thank you. Eric and then Beth. Okay, do we need a roll call for that, or can we do show of hands? We can do hands for that? Okay, so just a show of hands? Okay, very good.
And you're not going to.
First time to hit the gavel.
Still have executive session.
Just about 5 minutes.